So I'm still working away on this resin cockpit, just about ready for paint. I've really find some of the Aries instructions a little bit vague in some areas, but so I've done best I can with what I think it should be, but could be a little bit out. The instrument panel is one of those, it's acetate backing, so you just paint the back of it white and then it will go behind the resin part. This one is clear as well, and I've used masking agent to mask off the bezel areas, so when I paint it black then I can just remove that mask and then be able to see the instrument dials behind. I don't really care for that way of doing it, but that's how Aries do it, and I've paid all the money for the resin cockpit. It's not cheap, so I use what's in that, but personally I prefer I like the newer 3D instrument panels that are out now, like Red Fox Studio and Quinta Studio, and that I like that sort of thing. But whether or not they have one for the Skyhawk, I haven't looked. So like I said, I paid for the set, everything's in the set, so I'm just using that. I was going to use the decal, but it's not that much different, I guess, to using the acetate, but it's different. The dials are different, so I'm using the Aries one because it matches the instrument panel. So yeah, so it's ready to paint. I will be painting the cockpit. Where's it? The call out is for dark gull grey, so that's what I'll be using. This is, I have this bottle from, I don't know what I had it, but I thought I had some in Mr. Hobby, but I don't, so I'll be just using this one. Seat is dark gull grey as well. I had a look online trying to find some images. A lot of people build them with the seat black. I looked up images of the A-4E, and some are black and some are the dark gull grey. I'm just going with what the instructions are calling out for on this build. So yes, shortly I'll be priming up and painting it up. I've painted in the dark gull grey sections of the cockpit, so I still need to paint the cushions, harnesses in on the seat, ejection, pull mechanisms, and the side instrument panels, spray them in black. It's the piece behind the seat, and I'll give it a wash too before I put it together. So that's the instrument panel. So I glued the film to the resin piece with just some crystal clear with a toothpick, just dabbed it around. Just needs to be enough to bite and hold on. I got the intakes off to get ready, put together. They've got, as you can see, I've puttied in ejection pin marks. There's 4 on each one, and once it's easier to get those ones while it's apart, and when I put it together then I'm going to have to do it again to get rid of that panel seam join line where they join together. clean that up as well, which is like any intake, awkward to get at. For the putty, I used Tamiya white putty. This is the best of all the years I've been back into modelling. This is the best putty that personally I've come across so far. I've tried heaps. This one that dries really nice and hard. It's pretty messy though. I use it on things like this where it's easy to clean up and sand the area, but when I'm doing, this is probably a bad example because there's not really a lot of surface detail. If I was doing it on a model that had heaps of rivet detail and panel lines and on an area like that, well, I use tape as well to mask off so you don't get it everywhere, but just some areas I prefer to use something else. Yeah, so bit of progress. I need to paint those in. Also, the nose has got open panels, so you got actual detailed parts that would sit in the nose, but I'm having it closed. I don't want open panels because it takes away from the lines of the aircraft. I want it just one piece all the way along. So they had there's one on that side and two on that side, so you have to remove the tabs on the doors, and you need that side where the tabs are, you need to sand it down because it's still too thick to fit into the recesses of the panels. And yeah, then I can start putting the fuselage together when I get all that done. Alright, I've started cleaning up the intake. So that's the Tamiya white putty's dried off. It's had a couple of days. So I'm just using some sponge, sanding sponge. So I've got, so that's 3M. It's medium, but what they call medium, I'd call extremely coarse. And then I got different grades getting finer, going down. So I started with that medium, and just get in there and sand it down. Then I went to a lighter one, which was, what do they call it? They call it fine. Again, that's not what I call fine, but, and then you're down into the ultra fines to clean it out, polish it up. But when it's together, you're not really going to see, well, you can, but when it's on the model, you'll have trouble getting in on an angle to see it. I painted in the black on the instrument panels as the buttons, switches and whatnot. I do have, I've got some Posca pens. So this is I think it's 0.7, which is the finest you can get. So it's a paint pen, and shake them up and get this ball inside. It'll activate eventually. I haven't used it for a while, and you can just dab the point on the buttons, switches. However, on this particular cockpit, I find it extremely fine. It's almost like 148. So even this could be a bit too heavy for this. So what I might end up doing is, instead of the paint pen, get a toothpick and some paint, and just dip the toothpick into the paint and then just touch the switches and the buttons that you want to paint in. But before I do that, I'll give that section a dry brush with some natural metal. Then I'll do the switches. I've still got to paint in the cushion and the harnesses. I started painting in the ejection handles. Yeah, so I shall finish doing these intakes first, and then I'll go back to the cockpit tub. Okay, cockpit is finished. It's had a wash. You can see I've put in some of the buttons. I didn't go all fancy and put yellow and red and stuff everywhere, because in the images I saw that's just not the case. I just used Ammo Mig black enamel wash. Seeing it's a dark grey, I use black. The intakes are done, painted, so it is that time. I've got to put all this together, which I think is going to be a bit of fun. So I've done a couple of dry fits with this plug-in bulkheads, and you can see I've put tape around where I've glued the pieces together. You're not going to see this, so, and I've already bumped it before and it came apart, so this is a backup, because once you put this in here and glue it all up and it's all closed up and you bump it and it comes apart, that's, you're not getting at it. So this is to make sure it stays together. It was close fit in length. What I did was I sanded some of this engine away. I got some coarse sheet sandpaper, sat it flat and just rubbed it to shorten that a bit, just so this it lines up where it's supposed to in the rear. Which is not there. I'm thinking this section I might just wrap tape around it as well, just as a backup to glue. So yes, so now it's time to get all this together.